Welcome back to the shop, everybody. So the simulation looks good. So the concept here is to make a salt and pepper tray so we can be fancy like regular chefs when we really aren't that fancy. But the object is to make a salt and pepper box holder that's easy to clean. So we're going to make sure that almost every surface is round as we carve this thing out. And this is something that I'm doing constantly when I'm running the CNC, is running that vacuum as well, because I just can't stand all that dirt all over the place. I try to keep it off of the rails and off of everywhere because I'm always concerned with one of those wheels getting bumped by a piece of dust. We're using an 1/8 inch round nose. And we're going to go back and forth here a gazillion times until we have a nice smooth surface that we can dig the salt and pepper out of. Just like this one here. And I like to sand if there's any sanding to be done while it's fastened to the table. It just holds everything still. I don't have to worry about trying to clamp it down to the bench and putting a mark on it. It's just an easy way to do that. All right, and here we're going to cut the recess so we can have the children go outside and play. Not that kind of recess. A recess so the lid will sit down over top the box. We drop that recess 1/4 inch. Now, as I set this up, I realized I made a mistake in the programming. And when it cuts the profile, it's going to cut into my fence right here. And I don't want that. So I cut 2 pieces of 3/4 inch MDF, exactly the same, put them in as spacers, moved the block away from my fence, attached it back down to the bench, and re-zeroed with the touch block. I used a little wedge in the back side of the touch block, similar to this, so that I could remove that right there, that little wobble. We re-zeroed for X, Y, and Z, and then we took the 2 pieces out and rock and rolled. Here it's going to cut the outside profile off without wrecking my fence. Now, it's not a big deal if it does because it's just MDF, but I don't like having to remake it every time I do a carve. Re-zeroing here for the lid. And we're going to cut that recess out. Now, I made a little boo-boo in the programming. The lid should really sit closer to the salt and pepper. The salt and pepper, in my case, wants to cross boxes and go into the other side. So we need to make a new one. Let's see if I can get that off in one piece. Can I? Of course I can. All right, so we're back in the shop that's not the shop. We've got our box here, our salt and pepper box. I want to fancy the lid up on this thing a little bit, so we're going to take it over to the old X tool, the laser, and we're going to put something here on the top. Now, little trick on finding the center of a round surface. I know you could measure in from each side and put a crosshair, but if you don't want to write on it with a pencil, the laser has the ability to put you in a certain spot, and that's what we're going to do here with this tape. By putting this tape back on here, straight edge on each side, I now give a false corner, and I can line the laser up to that corner and burn away and hopefully not mess up this salt box. Let's turn the laser on and see if I can't catch this thing on fire. So what I've done is chosen a font that I like, and I've created a box here that matches the inside diameter or inside dimensions of the tape. And I'm going to select both of these, and I'm just going to keep increasing them and clicking P to put it in the center. We'll click P on this guy and make sure he's in the middle. And we'll stretch these guys out until we get what we believe looks good. Let's give me a little more. Let's take a preview of it. Looks pretty good. Let's put it in the machine and see if we can burn this up. Now, I create the box so that I can locate my origin here on the corner of the box, which coincides with the corner of the tape. So I'll select everything, and I've adjusted the heat and the speed for this outside box to basically no power at 150 inches a minute. So it'll blast around, hit that thing, and not make a single mark. But these guys are at 90 inches a minute, 80% power on the X-Tool D1. Let's see if we can burn it up. Okay, so we've got the box and the laser, and what we're going to do is set the depth on the X-Tool, and I've watched the Louisiana Hobby Guy, and he showed how to zero in your focus, and I didn't care for that little drop down on the X-Tool, so I have that block to measure height. Now here's the way, the simplest way I've found to square up your stuff, your stock inside the laser, is to use that little thing, that little block against the gantry, square everything up, and then bring your laser over. Now you can see the little blue dot right there. We're going to line that up with the exact corner of that tape. And that way I know block is square to gantry. I'm in the right spot on the corner. Let's rock and roll here. Moving it ever so gently into position. And put on your welding helmet, and back and forth we go to burn some walnut. Looking pretty good. And in case nobody's ever seen it, this is a 3D printer, and this is about how fast they go. And I wasn't sure if you could hear the whining in the background, so I wanted to show what was going on. I had this running behind me as I was running the laser. All right, let's see how we did. Not too shabby. A little bit of cleanup, and bing, bang, boom. Walla Walla, Washington. That'll be purty. Let's put some finish on it. All right, so I'm not going to put anything in here because I don't want the salt and the pepper to stick to it, but I am going to coat this, and I'm going to be very careful and coat the outside of this. Let's see what it looks like when we put a little goop on there. So here's the finished product. It didn't come out too bad. Got my supervisor there over on the floor watching. And in the end, I did put the walrus oil into the pockets. My wife made a very good point. She said we put that stuff on cutting boards and nothing sticks to it. So as you can see here, I did put the oil on the pockets for the salt and the pepper. I haven't made the new lid yet. I just wanted to put it together to see how it looked, and it looks pretty good, as you can see. So I hope you got something out of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope maybe you learned something. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and we'll catch you on the next one.